they make it feel like, okay, Mac might not make it out of this one. It's him against 20 guys with Thompson submachine guns, and he has a silenced Luger.
Welcome back to the Men's Adventure Fiction podcast, gang. We are happy to have you guys back. Happy to have another guest with us. It's been a very fun 2025 so far. Um, we creep ever near me having a second child and whatever the consequences of that will be for the podcast. But we're having fun. I'm excited. I've got done most of the content things, the editing that I've wanted to do, the film stuff that I've wanted to do. So I'm ready for this kid. How are you
Nice.
doing, brother Luke? How's it going, my friend?
Good. Yeah, another fun night talking men's adventure fiction. I'm looking forward to this, especially with this episode. As you said, we have a guest, and we have a special guest. I've met this guest in person. We live not that far from each other.
Yeah,
Um,
boy.
this is going to be a fun conversation because we're going to be talking about kind of the father of one of my, actually not one of my favorite character, period. The Punisher. We're talking Mack Bolan Executioner, and this is 100% where the Punisher comes from. This is rip-off city of Executioner is the Punisher. So we're going to be discussing that with what I feel is the in-house men's adventure fiction Discord and podcast in-house expert, Jake Widmer for the Executioner. I say that because you read much more than myself on this. I've read like two full Executioner novels and one Able Team novel. So I am an amateur, okay? So I'm gonna leave it to you as the expert, but you're also, I think, well versed in this genre, in that genre being men's adventure fiction. And that's kind of where I wanted to start was, to me, Mac Bolan is the razor's edge that cuts between pulp and men's adventure fiction. If someone says, what's the difference between those two? You show them a Mac Bolan book and you say, I want you to read that and then read The Phantom, and then you'll see the difference. It's like this is a hard-edged, more serious, darker take, closer to the thriller, but still has the heart of a pulp. And that's what I love about Mac Bolan and The Executioner. And that's what I love about your series with Chris Foley. You do that same thing where this is fun pulp, but it's not serious. It's still got those intense thriller moments. Like Real Monsters is my favorite of the series, and you're gonna have like actual heart pounding thrills in there, rather than just kind of escapism fun. And I think that's what you guys, the Executioner and Chris Foley, do very well. So yeah, how about you introduce yourself, Jake, and tell them a little bit about Chris Foley.
Yeah, thank you. Talked me up something big, Luke. But my name is Jake Widmer. I'm the author of the Chris Folly series. I think I'm a pretty active member of the Adventure Fiction Discord. So if you're ever in there, I'll probably end up talking to you. But yeah, like Luke said, I'm obsessed with the Mac Bolan world, Mac Bolan, Able Team, even Phoenix Force, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Phoenix Force. But yeah, I 100% agree with Luke. I think this is the distinction between pulp and thriller because, like Luke said, the Shadow. I've never read a Shadow, but I'm assuming there might be some campy moments in that. You don't get a lot of those in this series. It's hard to believe that I have a stack right here for this. Like the first one, War Against the Mafia, was originally published in 1969, and this
Nice.
series ended in 2015.
Jeez, talk about long standing.
It ended in 2015. And when I discovered it mostly because of Luke, where you were hyping me up to just go read a pulp, go read a
Hmm.
pulp. I don't want to. I've heard bad things, and then I finally went to Beyond Bedtime Books, and they had, I think, like books 11, 12, 28, and then 209.
Nice,
Yeah.
awesome.
So I just grabbed all of them, and the first one I read was 11, California Hit, and I was hooked, man. I was
Right.
absolutely hooked. It was on edge of your seat, but also I had a blast reading it. There's rare books where besides like if my friends write something, I always have fun reading it no matter what it is. But like off the shelf stuff, it's rare for me to like have a blast reading something this fun and this action packed.
Right.
Like you said, the Punisher is Mac Bolan too.
Yeah.
And there's an interview where the Don Pendleton, the author, was asked like, "How do you feel about that?" And he didn't really make a comment about it.
Mm.
But he's like, "Yeah, I
Doesn't.
can see it. I can see it because the Punisher has the war van, Executioner has the war van. They're both Vietnam vets. They both had their family killed by the mafia. They're
Yeah,
yeah,
there's even covers of certain Mack Bolan books that I've seen that are almost covers of the comics. Like Punisher Born, and I don't know which Mack Bolan, but they are like a side by side. Maybe even for the thumbnail, I'll make sure both those pictures are up there because it's
Nice.
so funny how they got Mack Bolan in like the military Vietnam suit, and he's got his weapon up, and it's so similar to the Punisher Born picture.
yeah. I would say the like early to mid 80s ones where Don Pendleton gave the rights over to a Gold Eagle to do these. That's where they start feeling more Punisher-y. But
Hmm.
like these other ones, like I got a stack right here, like yeah, obviously like War Against the Mafia hat doesn't really like show you a lot of it. It has actually yeah, it does. It has a big Punisher vibe, but then you get Death Squad and you don't even know really what's going on in that.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, they're a blast to read. They're pretty cheap. I get them off thrift books. The thing that just annoys the hell out of me about thrift books is they put a sticker on the spine. No matter
Oh.
how careful I am taking
Hmm.
it off, there's always a little bit of the stuff that comes off. So if
That's the
you,
Sucks.
worst. Yeah, it's
yeah,
the
and I have
worst.
to take it off so they all line up on the shelf. But,
Yeah, fair enough.
but my basement, my bookshelf is just Executioner and Able Team mostly.
I love that.
That's
Yeah,
so sick.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember I I can't confirm that this is true, but like 12-year-old me, I'm at a Goodwill, probably near Westchester, Pennsylvania, visiting my grandmother. And I look at the used book section, dude, literally probably like 80 executioner books. And I was looking at these covers like, damn, these are kind of spicy. Like I don't think I'm gonna be able to pitch this to my mom to buy for me. Literally to this day, I regret that I didn't get those because that would be so clutch. They probably would
yeah,
have been like 50 cents a pop because
right.
Goodwill's nuts for stuff like that.
yeah.
So I remember seeing them and the covers were so sick. I mean, you can't, and this is where it's interesting because I think like almost all pulp would be considered men's adventure fiction, but you
Right.
guys are spot on where it's like not all men's adventure fiction is pulp. It's like a rectangle and a square. But what the executioner's legacy takes directly from the pulps is the fire covers, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
those covers are so good.
Yeah,
It's some
I
of the best. It's some of the best I've ever seen.
It's so
truly.
good.
Dude, and speaking of Goodwill, that's exactly where my first touch point with the series was Able Team. I found
There you
this
go,
bad boy
dude.
like a year or two ago. And
Which
same
one is
thing.
that one?
This is Able Team 45. Able Team 45. So many books. Um, And I had no idea what that was. I was like, Able Team 45 doesn't matter. Look at that cover.
Dive in.
I'm buying it.
Sold,
At
sold.
45 in, I can catch up. Um, but
It's
yeah,
just 44 more reasons to read.
right. But dude, to your point, it's an interesting topic of like pulp versus men's adventure fiction. What is Mac Bolan's character doing that is so, you know, what is so alluring about it? It's almost like the pulps in the Phantom, the Shadow, that kind of realm. Its legacy comes from comic books and that kind of side of things. And these are like, and I know it's not plausible, but and possible, but it's 80s action. Like it's 80s action movies. And I know it can't be the son of that because it was
It
first.
was first.
Yeah, it's like 1967 is on the
So
first one.
it's yeah, exactly. So it's almost like I wonder if some of these movies help shape or some of these books help shape Dirty Harry and some of like the way that the 60s and 70s Bonds were portrayed. I wonder
Oh,
if there was a touch point with that.
I would say 100%, honestly, especially a lot of the more like violent American movies to come out of the 70s too.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that. I didn't enjoy my time reading it, but I read this. It's an Executioner ripoff. It's called Hawker. I
Okay.
think
Oh,
it's
I've seen those.
stereotypical like you don't play by the rules, you're off the force.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, he like just saved a hostage situation, but and he gets hired by this celebrity to just go around training like suburban neighborhoods how to defend against gang violence or something. It's horrible, but like I could see like all those like renegade cop movies taking inspiration from that 100%.
Yeah. I think we we Punisher is the biggest one, but we're probably discounting and like overlooking how many things the Executioner actually
Yeah.
put into gear. Because
Yeah.
I mean, with that publication date, this has to be one of the earliest
Oh, I would have to
thrillers in
agree.
that sense, right? I mean, in that type of way where it's like ex-military guy, still what you're seeing with Terminalist and things like that.
Mhm.
Like, dude, this is the grandfather of it all. This
Yeah.
is the man. And
Yeah.
if I'm wrong, point it to me. I get it. There's earlier men's adventure fiction like Alexander Dumas, but that is
Mhm.
like swords and stuff like that. That is
Yeah.
not
Right.
a dude coming back from a war,
Yeah.
taking on.
I 100% agree with that, Luke. I feel like I remember I did a post on my Instagram about this. I've talked to you guys about it over and over again. From having dived into this literary world, without Mack Bolan, we wouldn't have James Reese, Jack Reacher, Ryan Steck's character, Matthew Red, him. We
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
then without him, we wouldn't have the inspiration for like Nate Colt, Hunter Moss, and Chris Folly.
right.
In
True.
So
my
true. Yeah,
yeah,
so true. Because Punisher was like definitely one of the biggest inspirations in my whole writing career, and
same, dude.
that's Executioner, right? Yeah, it's
I didn't get into Mack Bolan until late, like after my third book was already out.
hmm
I had no idea who he was, and then I just spent God knows how much money on getting all these books. I just it's worth it though, man. It's
it is
worth it.
worth it. Yeah, it's definitely something. If you haven't read a Mac Bolan, um, it's worth. Like I've only done two, and I think my mission in the beginning half of 2025 is to just read a ton of Mac Bolan because it is it's so thrilling to read these like short things. It's similar to what Louis L'Amour does for me, where it's like these compact, super masculine hits exactly what I'm like itching for. These stories that just entertain, but also really ignite something within me as a writer and as a man.
Mhm.
And doubling down on that, did you guys ever hear how fast he wrote these?
Yeah, it's
Mm-mm.
insane. It's
Dude, it
insane.
was like
Like
6 weeks or something like that.
yeah, even the ghostwriters in the 80s,
Eh,
like even the ghostwriters in the 80s had to be cracking these out because in a lot of the 80s ones, you'll see like in the middle of a book, there's cardboards like cut this out for a free sample of the Mac Bolan fan club, which needs to come back. In my
right?
opinion.
We do
Soon.
need that.
You would get 4 books a month. So a month they were releasing 2 Mac Bolans, and 1 Able Team, and 1 Phoenix Force in the same month. And
Oh, that's
sometimes, and you're
crazy.
flipping through
Whoa.
these because I'll get into this later about how cool I think this is.
Yeah.
Tell who the ghostwriter is, and half the time, like 1 month, it's the same guy. So he's writing
So
like
crazy.
2 Mac Bolans, 1 Able Team, one Phoenix. Like there was a different breed
What
back.
is, yeah, that is absurd. I love that. Like, that
Yeah.
is mind blowing.
Now,
Well,
don't get me wrong, especially like with Don Pendleton, a lot of them are very good, but like when they're bad, they're bad. But I like to give all of them at least like at least if they don't have me by the middle of the book, I'm done. So I always try to read
Fair.
it in the
Right.
middle. There's been times with the Mac Bolan ones in the 80s where it's either the one of like the top tier of the list to like what the hell is this?
Right.
yeah.
Remember that one I was telling you about the Brothers in Blood? I think it was like book 50 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I
Awesome
thought,
cover. It
yeah, I was
looked
gonna
like it was
say it
gonna
looked
be
cool.
like Deliverance of Mac Bolan. It wasn't any of that. I was very upset.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, this is what's so crazy about it. I mean, 1967, 69 to 2015, that's insane. And what's
Yeah.
what's crazy too is I mean, like you said, the pace, two executioner books a month. And I think that's like that's the whole point of this genre, right? That's what men's adventure fiction is all about. And I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago now when we were talking about this. Is like if this genre comes back, it isn't like modern publishing where it's like, all right, I gotta step on the throats of my friends because I have to be the one who writes the books. Because like, dude, we could have one character and everybody's ghostwriting for him, and we're all writing like 15 books a year and we're still not producing enough to get to
Right.
the executioner level of like release. And I think that's what's so cool is like, dude, Pendleton found the perfect formula. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
we just talked about it. Punisher. Uh, I know you mentioned that guy. What was it, Hawker or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know for sure the Penetrator, blatant
Right.
ripoff. I've listened
Death
to it.
Merchant. Death
Yeah.
Merchant. Yeah.
Literally the Mafia 3 video game is essentially just
Oh
the
my God, you're right. I
executioner.
didn't think
Yeah.
about that
It
one.
is the
It's
executioner. That
literally the executioner.
Comes back from Vietnam and starts killing the
He
mafia.
comes back from Vietnam. The black mafia gets killed by the regular mafia, and he's like, "All right, well, I'm taking over the city now." He
Mhm.
uses like crazy Vietnam special forces tactics. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, this is actually, and to that point, I've been really loving playing that game. It's pretty critically poorly reviewed, but it's been sick because I'm like, dude, I'm literally Mack Bolan.
Yeah.
Like this is
I'm
Yeah.
Mac
amazing.
Bowl.
It's great. Like
I'm
I
Mack
love
Bolan.
it's great. I loved it. It was
I'm
fun.
freaking stacked and muscular, and I'm going and I'm killing like 60 guys, no
Yeah.
problem, chasing them
Mhm.
around in my car. Um, so cool. And I think that that's like, I don't know. This is what I'm trying to say is like, how was he able to have this legacy for so long? Like, how do we lose this? We need to bring this back, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the executioner, although that would be great. But like, this is pure men's adventure fiction, and it's exactly what it is. Like
Yeah.
the longevity, dude. Some people die before 1967 to 2015. Like this dude, this character lived longer than people actually
Yeah.
live in real life. It's nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. There's a too much. Oh, go ahead, Jake. I don't want to cut you off. You're the expert. Go
I was
for
just
it.
gonna say, like, I don't know how he did it. Like leading up, like all day today, I was thinking I did want to bring this up about how much of
Hmm.
a genius Pendleton was for this character because in all like this shouldn't have worked. It shouldn't have
Right.
back then, but it's alive. We're talking about it today. Jack Carr posted it on his Instagram page
Yeah.
recently. Remember that?
Yeah, I
I
do
had to like
remember
double take and see if it was him doing that.
that.
I was like, he's talking about it now.
Yeah. It's weird that like you said, that's a good point of like in the time there wasn't a carbon copy for him to like. I'm gonna look at this. I'm gonna do that. He created that, and that is kind of risky because the culture probably will. I mean, there's like some sex in this. There's some violence. Like he was just I'm gonna write this story. I think it's gonna work.
And it
It's
worked.
just yeah, and it worked. But
Yeah.
the dude really went for it. He swung for the fences and did something, especially with, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but like when you learn, that was the first thing for me that was like, okay, this is actually sick and not campy to your point, where it was like how his family gets taken out.
Yeah.
I think it was better than the Punishers. I was like,
Yes.
that's sick. Like that's actually disturbing.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
that's like messed up.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
seriously.
Like whenever I was reading the California Hit, which is like book 11, they bring it up. I'm like, okay, all right. But then you read it in the first book, you're like, oh my God, this is like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, so that there's a point too I want to double back on with you bring up what you brought up, Nathaniel, about being able to like we could all work together and not produce as much as the Don Pendleton boys with Executioner.
Yeah,
But I mean
seriously.
that's what is so exciting about this genre and the Renaissance and the Discord and your character, Chris Foley, your character, Nate Colt. It's like, dude, imagine the possibilities of teaming up and then like working the schedules out. So it's like, all right, we're gonna give these people like every week in this month, they're gonna get bang it a boom it a bang it a boom it.
Just
They're gonna
boom,
get a
boom,
Nate
boom.
Cole, Hunter Moss, Chris Foley, and just
The
nonstop punching them
ensemble
in the
group
neck.
up. Chris
Right, and
Folly.
then the group up, and then it's like
They
there's
did
so
that
many
too.
possibilities.
They did
Yeah, they
that
did.
too. They have what's now called Super Bolins, where like like it was like a regular Executioner novel goes to like the Don Pendleton ones went to maybe like the 160s,
Hmm.
and like the Ghost Rider ones are like the 180s page wise.
Yeah,
The Super Bolins are like 320, and
dang son.
Crazy.
those went till 2017. Are you kidding me?
So what is a Stony Man? That's one I've heard of, but I've never even read once. Does anybody know what
Yeah,
Stony
me
Man
neither.
is?
Yeah, yeah. From what I've able to figure out, like I'm not even like gonna bother diving into those ones right
Yeah.
now. I'm trying to read it. Stony Man is what came out after Able Team and Phoenix Force finished. Like the
Okay.
surviving cast of both those characters all came together and they became Stony Man.
Interesting. So it's like
Gotcha.
phase four of the Marvel MCU, and you're like, I don't really want those characters, probably.
Yeah,
It's probably
yeah,
like I think.
yeah. But like I don't know. I haven't looked into that because I like 'cause I love the characters of Able Team and I've looked ahead before of Bull and I'm like, oh man, he dies. But
Oh no, that's
not Bol
rough.
no, Bolin doesn't die. I'm
Oh,
sorry. Mac Bolin can't die. He's been going since
yeah, I
the
was gonna say, don't kill that guy. That'd be a horrible idea.
but yeah, yeah, it's insane how they kept all this going. And by the time 2015 came, the covers were garbage.
Yeah, I've seen that. Dude, I wonder about that. Like, why is this happening to modern covers? Where if you look up Executioner and you get a current cover, every single one, no matter what, 1 to 100 and
Yeah,
whatever,
dude.
is a gun. with a different color and like the
and then
title, and
some
you're
sort
just
of setting behind it.
yeah, and you're just
Like
what are you
like
doing?
it's crazy.
I think they just got lazy, honestly.
Yeah,
I have not even I don't think I think there's going to be a point where I stop collecting these. I just don't want those covers. That's the
right.
Well, I think it's probably got to do with what modern thriller covers look like. I mean, look just literally right here, the Hunt at the Well of Eternity is
yeah,
literally a gun, a different color, and
Yeah,
then the type. So I think it's probably what we've talked about before. Like for some reason, who knows what, we can't pin it down. I guess maybe it is just people who these are the target market for stopped reading and started doom scrolling or started watching YouTube videos or listening to audiobooks. But now they're like, okay, well, we got to hit. These have to now become political thrillers.
yeah,
Otherwise, we're going to lose all sales. So they start marketing to people who won't read them because they're not political thrillers, but they're like, let's make them look like political thrillers. So at least we can
right.
catch them with the cover. And then they read them. They're like, this is men's adventure fiction. That's not what and they're like, it's like 80-year-old men who can't read any, like they have to
Yeah.
have their thesaurus next to their or their dictionary. So they're like looking up all the marine terms and stuff. But yeah, it's so sad. I don't know what the heck happened.
Dude, it's like men's adventure fiction and particularly pulp. Um, I think they're so disrespected too amongst modern like literatis or whatever you want to say. Like
Yeah,
they
for
just
real.
don't they discount it. And I used to discount it like before. I think Louis L'Amour was kind of my gateway into the genre in full fledged because before you'd see that and be like, man, that's I don't know what that is. I don't want that. That's what is that? But like, and I would always turn a shoulder to it. But once Louis L'Amour kind of opened that, and I was like, this is the coolest writing ever. And then you find out that's a whole. He was like a pulp writer. You're like, what is that? And you kind of bleed into that, and you find someone like the Executioner. Like, open up any Executioner and read the first line and tell me you're not like, I got extra testosterone right now. I'm ready to go bench
exactly.
press a man off my like I'm
Exactly. The writing is like it's not only is it like a blast to read, the writing is just fantastic and especially
yeah,
the Pendleton ones. Like the way this is gonna sound morbid, the way he describes somebody gets shot and like from the span of this book, it's different each time. And it's like
oh, dude, yeah.
not
Imagine how
only
many
is it
times he
like
shot someone in the books.
yeah, like which happens a lot in these, but it's not just like, oh, his M16 sent 3 round burst into it. No, it's like M16 sent 3.556 flesh shredders into
Oh,
Yeah.
like
so
put
sick.
a bullet into a flesh shredder before
Right.
Yeah. I
yeah.
remember you said something about like burp guns and chatter guns stitching
Yes.
people up, right? I love that. It's so sick. But to circle back to Luke's point, I agree. I remember thinking like when I saw these like book 305 or whatever the heck I'm looking at Goodwill. I'm like, there's no way these can be good. But then it's like
Hmm.
they literally have to be good if there's this many of them. They would not make them if they weren't being consumed readily by tons
Right.
of people. Like so and that's what the whole thing is like. It's the that quote, I think can't remember who said it. I think it might have been Edgar Rice Burroughs, but like anything that makes you want to read is the best kind of literature. And these,
Yeah.
The Executioner makes you want to read. And then you also are blessed with the fact that you can read them till the cows come home. You could probably
Right.
read one one a week for a very, very long time and not get out of them. So it's so sick. So cool. But yeah,
Dude,
the
yeah.
sorry, go ahead, Luke.
I'm just to capitalize on that too. It's like these books are just answering a question I've always been asking without knowing it. Like I would always see a book and think it was what I wanted to read, and like 30% of it was what I wanted to read. 30%
Right.
I was locked in like, dude, this is sick. The action was amazing. The rest of it was like geopolitical politics and stuff like that. And I'm bored. I don't want to do this. And so
Yeah,
when
for
I
real.
finally found this genre, it's like, whoa, this is all the sick stuff and it's everything I wanted. And that doesn't mean, oh, it's all action. Like they do character-driven pulps and character-driven men's adventure fiction. It's just a different lens. You don't have to follow 50 different characters amongst, 3 different countries. You
Yeah.
don't do that really. So I just wanted to throw that point out there of like,
Yeah, for
if you're
sure.
not into reading, these will get you into reading. It's a much different read than when you pick up any, even not, I don't want to say anyone because I don't want to disrespect any writer. But like if you pick up anybody in the Barnes and Noble thriller section, it's going to be a much different read.
Yeah,
It's going to be 300, 400 pages, and it's going to be maybe 150 pages of that are going to be action.
Right.
Um,
Well, I mean,
this,
like you said, you don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I feel like we can all agree that Jack Carr is at the top of the game and writes
yeah,
great action. But even
yeah.
still, I remember reading one of his books, and it was like talking about a guy who was tried to write an action book, and he was like a political dude, but someone was mad because he said clip instead of magazine, and he got like trashed on the internet, and he's literally in it for like one chapter to do something, and then he's out of it. And I remember reading that, I was like, am I reading the same book? Like what happened? Where did that come from? So I
Yeah.
think that it's like to your point, it is a different beast, right? Like you're gonna have tons of pages of like even in Jack Carr stuff, which is as action packed as it can get.
right. He's
Like
awesome. Love him.
sometimes you're gonna slip in, there's gonna be that world building of the geopolitical sphere, which is not a bad thing. It's just not the same as the executioners.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
just
just
not everybody's interested in the geopolitics of like some African country.
right, right.
Right.
They're not. But like even though I didn't like Jack's newest book, I'm saying like I know him. Even though I didn't like Jack's newest one the most, what action was in it was probably some of the best he's ever done.
Yeah,
And I
that was a
like
fun
since he's
book.
recognizing Don Pendleton's work, maybe like maybe this Vietnam War one he has coming out is gonna feel more like an executioner.
Dude, maybe that was a little subtle hint he's
Dude,
slipping in there.
if he's bringing it back, man.
Like, yeah, I think the Magnum vibes in this next book are going to be out of this world, and I cannot
Dude,
wait for that.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Yeah, and this is what's cool is like there is very few book series that get the action as well done as the Executioner does. I mean, just so cool. I mean, literally from the opening, he starts the war against the mafia. He uses a lever action sniper rifle, right? Like he's got a scoped lever, dude. So badass. I mean, you just already starting us off with a Western trope with like the ultimate badassery of a lever gun, dude, and then sniping people too. It's just like so sick. And then it just gets crazier and crazier from there. I mean, I think I've read five or six of the books in order. Um, and every one you're like, dude, this is crazy. How is this happening? How is he getting away with it once again? Like, and that's what's cool about it too, is like there's certainly some sort of formula that the books do touch on, but it never gets old because it always is a new, interesting scenarios, new higher stakes, a new confrontation with someone who is like, okay, I really am wondering. I know that there's 275 more books or 1,000 more books. I don't know how many there are, but I know that he's going to live. But I'm actually wondering, like, is this the guy who's going to kill the executioner? So they're
Yeah.
so good at doing that.
Yeah, he does a great job with Pendleton, especially whenever like Max by himself for like yeah, he has some allies throughout the book and usually horrible fates await those allies. But
Right.
like they make it feel like okay, Mac might not make it out of this one. It's him against 20 guys with Thompson submachine guns and he has a silenced Luger. Like
Yeah,
and he
dude.
somehow
Let's go.
Hell
gets
yeah, dude.
but I want to kind of backtrack really quick if that's cool with you guys.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you guys, so I don't know which ones you guys have read. Nathaniel said you read five. Did you guys read Death Squad, the second one?
Yeah, I did.
I
Dude,
have not read that
you
one.
created it
Mine's so
again.
out of order.
This is like the first like team-based action book done right.
Yeah,
You
That's
that's
did it
true.
sick.
again. Yeah.
Dude, and then I don't know what is it about? Is it similar to like Dirty Harry 2 where there's like that death like a literal I forget if they're called the Death Squad, but doesn't he
Yeah,
have to like
Magnum
take
Force.
Mag yeah, like is it similar to that?
Yeah, yeah. So Mack Bolan just realizes that like maybe I should just get my old Vietnam buddies in on this war because
Sick.
I have a like what is it? Yeah, it's $100,000 bounty on his head. And so he just goes around and just to his old buddies. They're just like, "Do you want to come fight gangs?" He's like, "Yeah, I hate my job. Let's go."
Let's go, dude.
I've
It's like
been waiting for the call, dude.
Yeah, literally one of them was basically said that because like he's already on the news at this point. They're just like about time. But
No,
Luke,
I
you
love
gotta
it.
read this one because one of the guys, I think it's called Quick Draw Harrington. He just
Oh yeah,
one of
dude.
his Vietnam buddies, he just walked around with two single action armies in the jungle.
it's
And he was like
amazing.
quick draw
That's
on
so
Viet
sick.
Cong guys.
How it doesn't get better than that. I mean, if this doesn't pump you up, if that's not the best 80s action movie. What are you doing? And that's where it's absurd to me we've never gotten a movie of the Executioner.
Seriously,
Absurd to me.
how is that possible?
What's weird is a lot of them, it says 800 million copies in print, major film series coming soon.
Yeah,
That
soon.
never
When
happened.
not soon enough, man.
No. Well, I looked into it. So Burt Reynolds was gonna direct it with Sylvester
Ooh.
Stallone as the
Oh,
executioner.
oh.
What?
That would have been
No,
sick.
dude, we were robbed.
The latest update was like from like 2010, where like Bradley Cooper is still set to play him at some point.
Dude, Bradley Cooper's gonna play him too, because he's also supposed to play Matt Helm. My
And Bullet. So I don't think any of these are
Bradley
gonna happen.
Bradley Cooper's out of control.
I don't think any of those are gonna happen, to be honest with you. I think they're all gonna fall through. Bradley Cooper is gonna get throat chopped because he said he was gonna be Bullet. He said he was gonna be Mack Bolan. He said he was gonna be Matt Helm. Where are they, Bradley?
I'm
Yeah,
looking this up right now.
Give us the men's adventure fiction movies. Me, Jake, you and I were sitting at La Bella Bean, and we were looking at covers for Mac Bolan as one does,
yes,
and we
yeah.
saw we saw the one, and we were like, dude, is that Nathaniel
It's literally
Hummel?
him.
I was like,
No,
is this
dude.
Nathaniel?
You guys need to get out of here.
No, this it's true. I'll also try to find that one and we'll put it in the Discord. So join the Discord to see
Yeah,
it. But
yeah.
we were saying we need to find who has the rights to this series, chokeslam them until they agree to let Nathaniel play him in the movie because
I
it would
think we
be,
might have to choke slam Don Pendleton's son.
yeah, it seems like
Or
we might have
Bradley
to.
Cooper.
Well,
Because his wife, they're still printing the all of the originals minus book 16. Don't read book 16. We'll probably get into that later.
okay.
Interesting bit of
Book
history.
16.
But the thing is like they don't
Immediately
have the
looking for
original
book 16.
covers. They have a silhouette of a Beretta and then whatever city it takes place in.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep. It looks
Yeah.
it's
so
horrible.
bad.
It's so bad.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, but we might have to choke slam a member of Don Pendleton's bloodline. But
And Warner Brothers
Dude,
because
dude,
that's who owns the film rights. So
hold
let's
it, fellas. I've got an idea. What if we just write a story about going on an executioner style rampage to get the rights of the
to get the
executioner?
rights to the
Yeah,
executioner,
yeah,
it's
dude. I
just
think this
us.
is
It's
that's our
not
job.
even fake people, it's just us.
And that's our job interview. We're like, Warner Brothers, hear us out. This is a script to get us the script for Executioner
This
because
is genius.
we
This
want
is
this.
Speaking of that, I hope if they were to ever do it, you got to put it in 1967.
Oh, 100%. Don't make it like,
No,
don't make
no,
it
yeah.
like now.
it wouldn't be the same seeing Mac Bolan with like night vision goggles. That's
Ah,
modern.
Right, right.
No, no, no. You just got to put him in that time era, give him that time era guns. That would be great.
Especially too because I mean, I'm not gonna, I don't know if saying this is just going to make the mafia more powerful or if they're going to be like, he's drawing attention to us and I'm going to die. But the mafia is definitely not what it used to be. I mean, I'm sure it's still out there. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure shady stuff's going on. The mafia is killing people left and right. But that, if only because of cinema,
right.
60s to the 70s is like pinnacle of the mafia, dude. So
Yep.
it would be so weird to have it now. Like, would they kind of like now? Back in the day, the Nazis were the perfect bad guys to fight. And now when you have like bad guys fighting, it's like, okay, well, is it going to be terrorists? And then terrorists can be from any nation. And then, well, what's happening there? And then, okay, maybe it's Russia. But like, so what would they do with like, what would be the gang or the mob or the mafia that he would face today? It would just not
Yeah.
be, it would not be nearly as good. And also like the 70s style, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm. Because Bolin would like that's what the ones in the 80s are. He's going against terrorism and Russians.
Yeah.
That's that one. But like the ones when Don was writing it himself, it's all just mafia. That's all
That's
it
so
is.
sick.
And he
Right.
hypes them up like he makes them a more than just a crime syndicate because you hate these people when you're going after them. This like he makes like the most like it's like it's the most stereotypical like Joe the Killer, like the most stereotypical name, like what a stupid name. And then you get like 3 chapters following this guy around. And
Hmm.
you're just like, Mac's got to kill this man as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And putting it today would almost be what we talked about a little bit with the Indiana Jones game, where it's like, did they have to go first person so that people weren't just, what's this Uncharted ripoff? You know,
Right.
it's like, but Uncharted did people would
Uncharted's the
people,
ripoff.
but yeah, people would be like,
What's this Punisher
yeah,
ripoff?
what's this Punisher ripoff doing here? And it's like, dude, what are you talking about? So if you got to separate by making it a period piece, making it
Mhm.
1960s, and that'll show them who the true champion is because people will be like, whoa, this is sick. And then they'll look into it and realize, oh, wait, the Punisher took from this guy? What?
Yeah,
I mean, people are definitely into period pieces still. Look at 1923.
1923,
for
Ungentlemanly
sure.
Warfare.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's such a booming genre still. Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Or specific to the 60s and 70s would be like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, the costuming in there is so sick. I
yeah.
can just imagine like I don't even know who would play uh, Mack Bolan, but I can
You?
imagine
You? Yeah.
him.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Give me the suits. I'm in. I'm in. Say
Get in
less,
the
fellas.
skin tight black war suit he wears.
Dude, hell yeah, hell yeah. Give me a suppressed Luger and I'll start stitching people up.
Yeah.
So you got to tell us about book 16 though. I am still curious about since you
Okay.
said that. What's
All
going
right.
on here?
So book 16 is called Sicilian Slaughter. That's actually one of the ones that I got, one of my first ones I got.
Okay.
Dude,
I didn't know,
can
and I
you
was like, it's not by Don Pendleton, it's by somebody called Jim Peterson.
Jim Petey Beats. All
And I
right.
guess Pendleton got into it of his publisher, and Jim Peterson was like their golden child. And I haven't read it, I'm not gonna read it. I just have it because it's rarer than the other ones, and
Yeah.
it's better on my shelf. But like, it's a total spit in the face to who Matt Bolan is.
Oh
Like,
no.
he kills some random woman for no reason. He kills a cop, which he doesn't do. That's
yeah.
the
Yeah.
thing. Like, he goes out of his way. Like, he's openly said, "You can shoot me. I'm not going to shoot you." Like,
Wow.
but like, it's just, and it sounds so cool because it's like Mac Bolan goes to the heartland of the mafia. I'm like, let's go. He's going
Right.
Yeah, that's gonna be
eventually.
sick.
But now I don't want to read it because it's from all the horrible things I've heard about it, and that's the only one the Pendleton estate didn't
Wow.
republish.
Dang. So
So,
you
so
know
it's
there's some
just
beef there.
yeah, exactly. That's all I
Wow.
really know about it. I haven't read it, so I can't really. I just know that he killed those people just from what I've heard from other people talk about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I have no need nor want to read it because it's like they said, it's a spit in the face to Don Pendleton.
That's fair. Yeah, you don't want to do that. If you go literally against the character's code of honor, that's kind of big.
Yeah,
You don't
Right.
do that. You don't
yeah,
do that. That's where people get really sensitive about like Batman. People who think Batman kills versus people who don't think he kills. Like
yeah,
that's a sensitive topic.
yeah, yeah.
So if Don Pendleton had it in his head, don't do that, and that's
Mhm.
his character, 'cause that's the Batman debate on steroids for him. He's just gonna be like,
And the
don't
and the
touch
and the
him.
thing is too is like that was book 16. He was writing he did 38 of the original 39, Don
Wow.
Pendleton. The
Beast.
events in that book are never talked about. It's completely ignored.
It's totally
It's
blackballed.
Yeah, literally, it's completely and utterly ignored,
It
which
was
I
all a
think is
dream, man. It was all a dream. He
yeah,
used to read up Word Up magazine.
yeah, yeah.
You don't
So,
even own book 16, Jake.
no,
Yeah, you
yeah,
don't.
it's not even there. I
That's a
just don't
fake.
even look at it. I just gotta block my head. But
That's it. Instead of the spin top in Inception, it's do you throw down a Mac ball, and if it's 16, you know you're still in the dream.
That's funny, dude.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so how would you say to tie this back into, and I've got a little pre-release of the Folly files, dude.
oh, there you go.
So
Yeah,
sick.
baby.
But how would you say that these books, how do you say the executioner like has impacted your storytelling personally?
It's making me like not afraid to make it to have a lot more action in it.
Nice.
Because the I know you and I have talked about this before, Nathaniel, of how much action is too much. These books told me
There
that
is
there's no
no.
such thing, especially and I think we're gonna rope back into this later. Able Team, like these are all action, but there's still character development
Very cool.
through all of the action and the characters too. Because the action can describe like the character's personality, like how far they're willing to go, like the what kind of situation they're in. Like if it's a fist fight, and as the action ramps up, the action can show their reactions to like somebody pulling a gun. Like what do they do? If that makes
Right.
any sense.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Character in action is an overlooked thing by a lot of people where it's like, oh, if it's an action scene, there is no character development. But like that's not true. Like you said, in the right hands and from the right angle, that the action can be just as dramatic as a conversation as far as depth for the character if you know what's going on. And you do that really well with like the characters, especially in Real Monsters. You can see kind of that mix of like the action's happening, but every bit of the action is like another drop into this ever growing like balloon that's about to burst. And if it gets too full, it's like this is gonna be a problem for people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's all kind of accounted for in the actions used almost as like a don't get into another fight because that's like not going to be good for your mental health. Okay, he had to do it. All right, nice.
Yeah, he's gonna lose. Yeah, 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 yeah. And that's something where like, because after I was done writing the real monster, I was worried that like that's kind of why the Folly Files became a thing. I was worried that like I can't put Chris through another traumatic event. Just like that. I gotta give him a break.
Yeah,
But
give us some breathing room.
yeah. But like I'm not afraid because I've dived into this and learned from the master Don Pendleton. I'm not afraid to have long action sequences as long as I can make it as long as it's not so boring nobody cares to read and they skip through.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, we've talked about this off air a ton of times, but I think I get stressed when I'm writing my novels or short stories and they're like a big percentage of action, much more than anything else that I've read. And I think that's why I have that feeling is because there's not very much that does read like that. But that you read stuff like The Executioner, you read stuff like what you and Luke both write, and it's like, okay, no, this is good. This is what I want to read. Like I'm writing this and I'm like a little, I don't know if insecure is the right word, but just kind of like I really enjoy reading what I'm writing, but I don't know if anybody else is because why, if they did, why isn't there more like this? Like, why isn't there John Wick in book form? And then
Yeah.
you find out that there's like how many executioners are essentially just John Wick in book form. It's like, hell yeah, dude. Why am I even worried? This is what sold for 50 years almost, just
Hmm.
churning out books. So to to that point, reading the stuff that you write, it's like, dude, yeah, I love this. Even
Um,
like some of the short story prompts that you read, like the one in the bar or
hmm.
that you wrote
Yeah.
where just like the gunfight was so sick. It's like, dude, yeah, I love this. I love it. Keep it coming. Keep rolling with the
Yeah.
action, man. Because
Yeah.
it's what's fun to read for me for sure.
Thank you. And I want it also like it and even at the start, even before I found the Executioner books, I wanted to write the stuff that I liked too. Like I didn't want to go out and like somebody come up to me, I want you to write a book all from the Oval Office. I don't know anything about politics. I'm gonna be flat out about it.
Right.
So what I know is like I've watched a lot of action movies. I've done a lot of combat sports my entire life. I like to shoot. I like to go out and film stuff with my friends, filming action stuff. Let me
Yeah,
try to write this into the book, and then here I am on book five
So
now.
sick.
that is so sick.
Yeah.
Crushing it, dude.
I'm not trying to hype myself up or anything, but like I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I think I succeeded.
Yeah, I think writers need to take that advice. Do what you want, write what you want, rather
Yeah.
than trying
Yeah.
to like be somebody else. That's
Yeah.
never
Right.
the thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like you don't want to have to go to college to get a political science degree so you can write political thrillers just
Yeah.
because you want to write like the 15% that's going to be the badass action sequences. Like, dude, just write the badass action sequences and make
Yeah.
your book about that. That's all you need to do. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I think a lot of people, I mean, I know for sure when I published You're Welcome, Ralph on Luke's page, I sent it to a couple friends and one of them was like, dude, I didn't know stories could be written like that because it's like pretty much just all action. I was like,
Hmm.
that's what I'm here for. Like,
Right.
that's what these fellas are here for. Join the men's adventure
Yeah. Join the
fiction
co-op, man.
Discord, and you're gonna be reading stuff like that. If you like that, wait till you see these other guys. So
Yeah.
I think that that's what it's all about. It's like give, and this is where we get to the kind of the idea of like marketing and bringing back the genre. It's like people want this. People don't want to be. I mean, 90% of the time that I'm scrolling on my phone, I'm hoping for some sort of men's adventure fiction to pop up. It's like
Hmm.
why am I not just on like a Substack reading your guys' short stories? Like, what am I doing? Like, scrolling through my phone. I should just be in the Discord catching up on all the weekly prompts that I've missed out. Like this is the fun stuff. This is the stories that I really want to read. This is like the content. Because I mean, I think that's why everybody is on their phones. Why they're just so sucked into their phones is because they want something that's going to entertain them. So there's no better time than now for this
Yeah.
revitalization to happen. And I think it's
It,
people like you that are making it happen, dude.
And I think it's yeah, I appreciate that. I really do. I'm doing my best. But like the Discord itself, how many people do we have in that now? Like 60 something people.
It's over 60. Yeah, it's pretty sick.
It's
There's a
wild.
great demand of people who want I mean, the Discord has stuff more besides our books because there's like the cigar stuff and everything and
Yep,
the
yep.
pipe smoking too. But like with all these people in there, word's gonna start to spread because I work in a bookstore full time. None of my coworkers know what men's adventure fiction is.
Right.
None of them
Yeah.
know what it is. I told them today on my shift, like they were like, what is that? And I had to explain to them what this podcast, what this genre was. And then I forget who it was who put in the Discord where they typed in like men's adventure fiction on Amazon and a cesspool popped up
Yeah,
on the
dude.
Yeah, it's
screen.
so sad.
Yeah.
Got to reclaim it. That's the whole mission here is to
Yeah,
reclaim that page.
it's gotta be Vipers and Red Rocks, Homecoming, the Nate Colt book.
Right. That's
Yeah,
what we
dude.
need.
Yeah,
It'll be sick. It will be really cool.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, if you guys are really cool with it, I'd love to talk about Able Team.
let's do
Yes.
it, dude.
Hit us with some Able Team.
Yes. So this might be heresy, but like the Don Pendleton ones are the top, right? The 80s Mack Bolan books, they're good when they're good, but they're bad when they're bad. Able Team has not disappointed once in
That's
any of it.
awesome, dude.
So this
Sick.
is one of the spin-off series, and the people in it, it's Carl Lyons, who is in Death Squad.
Okay.
He's one of the LAPD cops who
Yeah,
are going
that's
after Bolan, and Bolan lets him live because he knows he's a good guy, and he like I don't want to spoil that one, but so and then there's two people from the original Death Squad that didn't die. It's Gadget Swartz, and then I'm not gonna say his name because I always mess it up. It's extremely Spanish, but he's called the Politician in it too. So it's this LAPD cop and two former Green Berets are brought together by Mack Bolan to like this three-man team that just goes in and just tears stuff up. It's so
Sick.
good.
that
The
sounds
first
awesome.
one, that's my only complaint. The first one's not that good. The second one, Luke, you got to get this up your alley, man.
Okay.
Hostage Alley, a group of bikers takes an
Hey,
entire island community hostage
What?
nice.
to like the
Let's
release
go.
of some KGB spy, and it's some of the best action writing in the entire Mac Bolan verse, dude.
Wow. Yeah, I
That's
gotta
so
check that
sick.
out.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
I
one,
love
and
that.
they continue. You could like the other ones. You can jump in anytime you want, but they do a good job of like explaining stuff from the previous book. Characters grow and everything. And Carl Lyons is right up there with Bolan for biggest badass in this entire thing.
Dude,
Nice.
that's really
Yeah,
cool.
like
Highlight
Nathaniel, you'll
secondary
love it.
character.
What?
Highlight secondary character. That's always sick when you have like
Yeah,
Rafe in the James Reese books. I like him
yeah.
more probably than the James Reese character himself.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's sick.
he's just awesome and like and another thing too, Nathaniel brought up the gun terms like burper, tube gun, all that stuff. If you're a gun nut, you're gonna love these series because they all
Yeah.
start off with like it's the Beretta that has the 3 round burst. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, the pistol,
The pistol of like
the
the fixing
93
bullet.
Raffica.
Yeah, that.
Dude, talk about dream gun. I looked it up. There was like one on Gunbroker. Maybe it was just online years ago. They're like $75,000.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
They're crazy expensive, but that's so sick. It's in the dude,
Yeah,
that's too cool.
and that's what and in the 80s one, that's like Mac's go-to sidearm too, because he went from a
Dude.
regular silenced Beretta to that. And the cool thing about Carl is in one of the books, they were going up, and this like they show the growth through the action. That's where we're going back to this now.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
they're going up against this guy who's heavily drugged up, and his 9mm is not putting him down. He's just emptying. And he
No way.
goes back to the armory the next book. And this, to my knowledge, this does not exist at all. This guy took a 1911, modified it to do the 3 round burst. Like it's basically like a Beretta Raffica 1911
That's
No
hybrid put
way.
together.
dude,
That's
that'd be
so
a
cool.
lot of money as well. Imagine
Yeah,
if they made that. Holy
yeah, but
cannoli.
Able Team is just rocks. It's so much fun. I look more forward to reading those than a Mac Bolan book these
That's
days.
awesome.
Oh, that's really cool. Quick circle back to the Beretta 93R. Luke, it looks exactly like a Beretta M9,
Hmm.
but it has like a right where the pistol grip or the trigger guard goes in, there's a little hand holder, a hand guard, and
Oh,
it has an
okay.
extended magazine and a extended muzzle, I think, with a flash.
He has like a muzzle
suppressor.
brake on it because I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
Wow.
It's so sick, dude. And it so just had to touch on that real quick because that gun is a masterpiece.
But speaking of the guns, isn't there is a book? I think it's kind of rare and actually kind of expensive, but there's like a Mack Bolan executioner,
War book.
like what is it called?
War book. Yeah.
War book. Yeah, dude, and it's just like his guns and stuff. That's
Yeah.
so
There's
sick.
I,
Why?
I think it's one of the 80s ones. This is sorry, I'm nerding out. I
I
think it's
love
one
it.
of the 80s ones where it's I think it's I forget which one it was, but it's called Tuscany Terror. The
Okay.
epilogue of that is like beautifully hand-drawn images of all of his guns, and they talk about and it's the armor of Stony Man saying why these guns rock.
So
And
good, dude. Come on.
just another thing about Mac Bolan too is he has so many cool signature weapons, right? And I love signature weapons. I mean, my
Yeah.
main character has one in his own books, the Emperor's Tomahawk. But he starts off with that Silence Luger, goes to the Silence Beretta, and then he has a 44 auto mag
Oh my goodness,
from
dude. This
one of
guy.
the Dirty Harry movies. It's that some
Yeah,
big cannon thing. Gun doesn't work at all in real life, but in this book, it goes to work.
that's fantastic, dude.
Well, it's
Yeah,
so
just
sick,
so
dude.
if you're a gun nut, read these. You'll love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, the James Reese DNA as well, because the way that Don Pendleton talks about guns is very similar.
Hmm.
Not as thorough as like the stuff in Jack Carr's work, but
Yeah.
it's cool. It's not just the gun, like when you're reading my stuff.
Right.
It's like
It's
it's
a
not just
six shooter.
pistol. Yeah, the pistol.
Yeah.
I am not the gun guy for my books, and don't read them for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I think like Jack Carr may get into a little bit like you said more detail, but like Don
Yeah,
Hamilton, all the Ghost Riders, they get it pretty across. They like you know exactly what they're talking about. Like you're like
right.
what gun is he using?
Yeah. The 1911 3-round burst. That's sick. That's so cool that and that's what's cool too is it's like to build a world like that, it is totally believable that Mac Bolan or the Able Team guys know somebody. They have a gunsmith where they're like, all right,
Hmm.
I need more firepower, but I need it still in a pistol form. And they're like,
Mhm.
easy. I'll get it for you by the end of next week. And I was like, dude, yes, that's what I need that guy. I don't know
Yep.
where he is, but I need to meet him because I maybe he can make me a Beretta 93R, dude, because I need one of those. So it's so cool to have that world building. And it's a and maybe this is why these books are so successful, but it's like a world that you really don't want to leave because it's
Yeah.
so enjoyable. And I think that that's what the execution and gets better than most of any of like the rip-offs. I mean, the Penetrator, you and I talked about it a little bit, Jake, and you were like, "Yeah, I heard they weren't very good." They're really enjoyable, and the action sequences are written very well.
Yeah.
But um, what's his name is? I think his name is Mark Harden. He is a very flat and fairly boring character. He's just
Okay.
kind of like a man of steel who never gets anything wrong and really is kind of like has a cardboard personality. But then when you get to like Mac, I mean, it's Mark and Mac, dude. What literally like they didn't even
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't try to hide it at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Um, he's got a lot more personality. He's a lot more fun. And then I'm sure that they play off of that as well in Able Team. And that's
Hmm.
what's cool, like having three different personalities bouncing
Yeah.
off each other. So
Yeah.
cool.
And like one of like especially if the Able Team like that era of the Bolin verse, I don't know if that's the term for it, but
It's got
any
to
of
be.
them written by Stephen Mertz, it's gonna rock, dude.
Okay, cool.
Because Stephen Pendleton handpicked a lot of the people that were gonna be doing this.
That's awesome.
And it's
So
because
cool.
of him that ghostwriters get credit because like at the start in the copyright page, you'd see stuff like special thanks to Stephen Mertz for his contribution to this novel. That's Stephen Mertz writing it, essentially
Wow.
saying that's him. Because the Able Team's written by like Dick Strivers. It's not a real person. It's that he doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah.
Household name or whatever they
Yeah,
called
it's a
those.
house
Yeah,
name. Yeah, yeah.
that's
But
awesome.
Cool.
Stephen Mertz was a student of Pendleton, and it shows because it feels like him
That's
too.
awesome.
Man, I want to be a student of Pendleton too, if, as far as like, look at all these cool things they're doing with the Ghost Riders. Like, I want you guys to write some Hunter Moss stories. I
Yeah, dude.
want to do the, like you said, the collabs and well, let's give them 4 weeks of four different stories. It's like there's so much we can learn from men's adventure fiction and that thriving time and bringing it back because the people are stuck doom scrolling, like you said, and that's where they are, and they don't realize they want this stuff. But
Mhm.
dude, imagine the same guy take him two paths. He goes and scrolls all day on his phone and then goes to bed, or he's been spending the day reading Mack Bolan. Now he's like, dude, I gotta get some nice threads.
Yeah.
I gotta learn how to shoot a gun. I gotta get in the gym.
Yeah.
Those two paths are gonna lead to two different lives, and I know
Yeah.
one's way more worth living.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Right.
But
For sure.
yeah, for sure.
So we gotta hit you with the classic questions we ask all the guests if you're ready for them.
All right, hit me with 'em.
Might be a put you on spot. We don't mean to, but the two questions are favorite character across anything, book, TV, movies, anything like that. Favorite character and then favorite book. So take some time to mull those over, whichever one you want to answer first. We just need to get to the nitty gritty of Jake's mind here.
Favorite book. It's honestly not an executioner novel. It's not a lot. I've brought this up to you, Luke, before, but back in school, like we had to do those like state tests and stuff, right?
Hmm.
I wasn't a good student, so I didn't care. So they put me like in this English class where like you had to like they had like less le like lower level reading requirements for it a little bit.
I've been in that.
One of the books we had to read right before The Outsiders was something called Someone is Hiding on Alcatraz Island. That book rocked, dude. It got me really into reading because of that.
That's so
This
cool.
kid is being hunted across San Francisco. I think it's in San Francisco, right? That's where Alcatraz
Yeah,
is.
Yeah.
believe
Yeah,
so. Yep.
he's being like chased by these like ruthless gangs of bullies, right? And to get away, he hops on the ferry to Alcatraz and just hides there because the bullies follow him over. So then it turns into this cat and mouse game with him and the bullies. Like I'm reading this in seventh grade, and they're just
That's so
like
sick.
he's like knocking the bullies out of a lead pipe. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like what?
Brutal, dude. That's awesome.
So I would have to say like that's probably my favorite book. Shout out to Miss Jones for letting me steal a copy from the school.
Nice. Nice.
Hell yeah,
But
Miss Jones.
yeah,
Let's go.
yeah. But favorite fictional character, I think it's a tie. Can I do a tie?
Yeah, dude.
Go for it.
First is
Valid.
Hawkeye from Last of the Mohicans.
Okay.
Nice, dude. Nice
Yeah, because
choice.
I just love the tomahawk knife combo, baby. That's
That's awesome,
Yeah.
dude.
but and I'd probably have to say Martin Riggs, honestly.
Dude,
Dude.
yeah. Mel Gibson with the
Those
mullet
are
and
great
everything.
choices.
Yeah,
Really great choices.
yeah. Hundreds and great choices, man. I just got the Beretta action in there too, man.
Yeah, dude, you gotta love a Beretta.
Yeah,
A Beretta with a mullet, dude, is next level.
yeah.
He knows what he's doing, Riggs.
Yeah. Dude, those are
Same
great.
Beretta from Die Hard too.
Yep.
Like the same exact
This
model,
the
the same
same
prop.
gun.
That's what I thought. That's so
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
Good trivia knowledge there. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm such a nerd, dude. It's pathetic.
Yeah, this was fun. We definitely need to read. Well, like me and Nathaniel have to read a little more Able Team, but we
Yeah,
should
dude.
come circle back eventually to do an Able Team episode in full, the same way we did one here
When it
for
comes to
this.
Mack Bolan, personally, I'd say if you want to get into it, and I know we've talked about it before, but I would say like the first four. So like War Against the Mafia, I have them all here. Death
You're a beast,
Squad,
dude.
Battle Mask, and Miami Massacre. The first four, I would say you should read those in order, then you can go wherever you want,
Okay,
Okay,
cool.
in my
nice.
opinion. Because all the characters you need to know are introduced in these four.
All right,
Yeah.
and then
And
you can
just
hit up
get
the Able Team.
through the horrible bedroom scenes in the first book. They're not like that in the other ones.
Dude, I was so shocked by that. I literally listened to like the first half of that, and probably 70% of the first half was like sex scenes. I was like,
Yeah,
what the
yeah,
heck is going on?
yeah.
And then after that, like the second one, literally nothing. I was
Yeah.
so shocked. It
It's just
was
the bros going out and take on the mafia is what the second one is.
That must just be the whole concept of sex sells, and he was trying to get it published, and he's like, "Well, hold on, I put some sex in there. Is it okay now?" And they're like, "All right, we'll
like
take it now."
sold,
Yeah,
sold. And then all
yeah,
the fellas were like, dude, it's just the bros killing the mafia. That's all
yeah,
I need.
yeah.
Yeah,
Forget
I
the
don't
sex,
need
dude.
this.
Give me That's too good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but yeah, this is a fun talk, man.
This is, and
Yeah.
you guys can continue it with us, not only in the comments, but a more efficient way would be the Men's Adventure Fiction Discord.
Yeah,
For
Hop in there
sure.
and talk to Jake straight away about the Executioner. He's definitely the in-house expert there for this, and I always come down with my questions about that. And when we come together with more people to Warner Brothers, and we're like, "Hey, give us the rights," we will be an
yeah,
unstoppable
yeah,
force. You will let Nathaniel play him. You understand me?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the the Discord has its own separate like video chat, voice chat section too. So I know I've stayed up late some nights just hanging
Oh
out with the
yeah, dude.
fellas, chatting, having a good time, basically doing a podcast episode just for fun, talking with the boys. Like it's not getting
Right.
recorded, we're just having a good time talking about men's adventure fiction the way that it should be. So if you enjoy the podcast and you want to talk about it with, I mean, I remember someone we were talking to said like I got no one else to talk to about this stuff. It's like, yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean, I didn't have until I met Luke. This was really like nobody really understood the passion for this. But
Mhm.
join that Discord, dude. You got 60 some other guys, and I think gals too. There may be
There's
some
just
ladies in
one. There's just one, and she
Just
hasn't
one
done
girl.
anything.
60 some people who love this genre too and want to talk about it. So jump in there, start talking men's adventure fiction.
Can I hype the Discord up a little bit more really quick?
Dude, go
Go
for it.
for it. Go
Another
for it.
thing too is, and I know I brought it up in another podcast I was in into Luke when we did that video, but when I was starting becoming like an indie author and everything, I was convinced nobody was going to be there to help me out. I thought it was going to be like, no, you're my competition, get away from me.
Yeah.
Even before the Discord, people like Luke and Zach James were already like in my corner the whole time rooting me on. And now I got a whole Discord backing me up and I'm backing everybody else up too.
Yeah,
So
dude.
don't let anybody like tell you like, no, don't come talk to us. Come to the Discord. We'll take care of you. Come to
Right.
the
That's
Discord.
so true. Like if this gets you hyped, if you're looking at Don Pendleton's books and you're like, dude, I want to write some executioner style books. This is the place for it because there's writing advice in there. People are throwing around ideas like, oh, is this, I'm struggling with this scene. I've seen that go down in the Discord. There's book recommendations, movie recommendations, there's fitness pages, everything in
Yeah,
there.
there's even
So
a whole book marketing section.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whatever you need. And
it's there.
and that's the other thing too. It's affiliated with the podcast because Luke and I started it, but it isn't a podcast Discord. It's about just the genre. It's about just
Right.
talking about this stuff. It's about fitness, guns, writing, movies, whatever the heck you want to talk about. It's in there. So join the
Yeah.
Discord. You may be the next guest of the Men's Adventure Fiction
Right.
Who knows, man?
Who knows? You can join us for the Able Team episode when we get
Yeah,
there.
dude.
Oh yeah, dude. Yes.
Oh,
Cool.
All right. Yeah, Jake, thank you so much for coming on and tell the people where they can find you. It'll be linked below, but where do you want them to
So
check you out?
I'm mostly only just on Amazon at Jake Widmer author. I update all of my news about Chris Folly going on there.
Perfect.
And everything else in my life. I don't have a separate page like some dudes, all just at Jake Widmer author, and that's pretty much the only place where I'm at. And I'm also just in the Discord too. So
Cool.
that's
Sick.
all I really do.
Perfect.
and
All
all
right,
your
guys.
books are on Amazon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But a little sneak peek. So I'm gonna shout my boys out at BCU Media really quick too.
Yeah,
July,
great
I don't
dudes
know
over
when this
there.
is coming. Yeah, I don't know when this is coming out. January 10th, we're doing some cross media. Chris Foley's getting a short film.
Yes,
Hey, there we
dude.
go.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. I
Yeah.
love
Very
that.
exciting.
Gonna be something small just to see the reaction to it, but who knows what the future holds for it.
Yeah,
Are you
that's
gonna
so
get to be
exciting.
Chris? Are you gonna be Chris?
So I'm gonna get off by Chris.
Okay, nice, nice.
Perfect.
Nice.
That's
Even
that's
better.
what Jack Carr did in the Terminal List, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
gotta
all
get
goes
killed by your
according to
character.
plan, and if we get this one location set up where we can bring airsoft guns, I'm
Hmm.
getting shot. That's
Awesome,
Sick.
dude.
yeah.
That's
But
gonna be so
I
much
don't know
fun.
when that's going to be out. Probably we're probably going to be February release for it,
Cool.
knowing our schedule. But hell yeah, brother, it's all coming together,
I love
dude.
it.
Yeah, that's so cool. Congratulations. And
Like,
thank you again for joining us tonight.
of course, man. Of course, I had a blast. You got that.
And we will talk to you soon in the Discord then.
Always, man. All right. Thanks for having me on. See you.
Take care.
We'll see you next time.
Hey Red, how you doing? Any chance you're interested in a job?
Guess I'm in.
Good man.